Hello, Numi Nation. This is Justin with From the NuMinds Vault. This is the part of the show and part of the day where we go and take lessons from the past. Man, we've been at this for about 8 years. We take some of our favorite lessons that are able to be done at home for fun, and we have a chance to broadcast them here for you. So now, normally I'm joined by my girls, but yesterday we were totally busy with the cardboard challenge. So today I gave them a day off, which means I get to do what I want. And what I want is to play around with some music and show you guys some cool things that you can do at home, even if you don't have an instrument. So the first order of business I want to show you is that I have put up here an oscilloscope. And so let me hit the website here so you can have your own copy for yourself. Let me just punch that in there real fast. That should dump in there. Okay, so what are we talking about today? What are we doing? Tons of fun. So in Frozen 2, there's this scene where Elsa is walking along and she's looking for the forest spirits and she's like, ah. And then Olaf is behind her going, ah. And I love this part because Anna, yeah, I'm saying it right, Anna goes, hey, Olaf, why don't we just let one person sing? And Olaf, in true Olaf fashion, goes, yeah, you're right. She's a little pitchy. So hilarious scene, obviously, but a really cool way to talk real fast about pitch. And so what Olaf is saying is this, is that his singing to him sounds awesome. He sounds on key. He sounds on pitch, while Elsa's singing is off pitch, off key. So that's probably the first thing, and I promise I'll get to an activity here in a second, but just that's the first thing to kind of think to yourself. When you hear the word pitch or hear someone talking about pitch, that is your perception of sound. Somebody's on pitch, off pitch, oh man, a little pitchy. So the difference between pitch and frequency is the actual physics. So regardless of how you feel about the pitch of my voice, regardless of your perception, you are seeing the frequency, the actual broadcast. Now, I won't go too far into it, so I'm going to get to some cool activities, but I've already shared the link to the oscilloscope, so that by itself is awesome, just to be able to see different things. But of course, I had to go to the kind of the next level and talk about sound itself and how it works and really kind of play around with it, because sound isn't a wave like you see. The reason you're able to hear sound is because one air molecule, right, is being pushed and it smacks another air molecule, that smacks another air molecule, that smacks another air molecule, eventually going into your ear. Now, in this case, it goes through the computer, right? Transmogrified. Okay, it's not Lord of the Rings, but it turns into a digital sequence, a digital code, ending on the other side, where then poof, it comes out as a sound that, once again, the speakers in your computer or in your headphones are then pushing an air molecule, pushing an air molecule, that pushes an air molecule, that pushes an air molecule. And so my voice right now is pushing these air molecules. Then your speaker is interpreting that and pushing out air molecules and pushing air molecules that hit each other until they hit your eardrum. That's how you're hearing. And so a couple cool things that you can do with that, with an oscilloscope, is you can talk about what we hear and how we hear with our ear. So real fast, I'm going to throw up this picture. This is the inside of an ear. Okay. Now the ear is not only stinking fascinating. Let me make it a little bit bigger here. Let me see. There we go. Yeah. So the ear is incredibly fascinating. And one thing in particular is the cochlea right here. And I don't know if I can zoom in even a bit farther. That little spiral. Okay, the cochlea. And it does a lot of different things. But one thing in particular is that it helps us hear different frequencies. Now, if you remember, pitch is your own perception. Like when Olaf said, oh, she's a little pitchy. That's your perception, versus frequency is the actual stuff that's hitting your ear. So you're playing around with an oscilloscope. You're having some fun. And I want to give you kind of like, I don't know, it's like a mind-melding moment for me. I'm just going to draw. I'll make myself big again. I'm just going to draw. You're gonna hate my little drawing, but I'm just going to go for it here. So let's just say that this is the spiral of the cochlea ear plant. Nerve. Sorry, actually I messed that up because they do make cochlea implants, and I'll talk about that in just a second. So what happens is that the frequency comes into your ear, into your cochlea, so you can hear and see that there. Okay. and it's actually resonating at different frequencies inside of the tube. So again, you saw the picture. It's almost like it's a tube that kind of goes through. I don't know if this is helping to demonstrate or making it more difficult, but so you got a little tube here. So the sound comes in, and inside, let's say it's resonating at 110 hertz. Okay, that's the frequency. How many times per second it's hitting your ear? A little bit farther out, let's say it's hitting at 220. A little bit farther out, let's say it's hitting at 440. And I'm just giving you an example because this is not accurate at all, because our hearing ranges from this bottom frequency around 60 all the way up to the 10,000 range. Someone give me a Google fact check on that bad boy. Hey, Mr. T, thanks for joining us. I'm about to blow your mind on a couple cool things. So I shared the oscilloscope, which is kind of a fun way just to play around with sound and see yourself being represented through sound. But then now what I want to do is I want to prove to you that your brain actually tricks you into hearing stuff. So I have an oscilloscope here. I'm just going to throw it up on my phone, and it's a free app. So again, if you want to check that out, you can see the same thing. The difference is it'll also tell you, look down there, it'll tell you the amplitude and the hertz. Isn't that cool? I'm doing that because you actually don't hear me. I'll say that again. I'm not just teaching to my students. I'm like, pay attention. So unless you're on some kind of sweet audio system, or you've got some like sweet Bose headphones or some Beats up in those ears, you are not actually hearing this frequency. Your speakers aren't able to play it. I'll say that again. If you are listening to this like on your laptop, or even if you got like some iPods in, you are not hearing my actual lowest tone as a male speaker around this frequency. What happens is every time that we make a note, it resonates. It has what's called an overtone. So when I play a note or I say a note, my overtones actually come in at this multiplication effect, or I'm sorry, the additive effect: 110, 220, 440, 880. Your ear is hearing me talk. It hears the 220 because it's coming from the speaker. It hears the 440 because it comes from the speaker. It hears the 880 because it comes from the speaker. It is not hearing the 110. And your brain actually fills it in and says, you know what? I'm hearing all those other frequencies. I'm listening to a man's voice. So I'll say that again. You're actually not hearing my true voice, which is why you're going to hear some people, no pun intended, a lot of people argue about, man, when I listen to a record, I love that pure sound. I love the fact that I'm actually getting that frequency played in my ear, versus if I listen to it on the headphone, your brain is actually filling in those missing frequencies. Okay, so let me see if I can prove it, because I've got some instruments here behind me. We're going to have some fun. So give me a second here. I'm going to pull back up the oscilloscope. Thanks for your patience there. Okay, pull that guy back up. All right. So I'll hold a note, and you'll notice it won't be a perfect sine wave like, okay, I'm done. You don't see a perfect wave going, because that note that you hear is actually resonating with multiple overtones on top of it. I can prove it. So here's a guitar, and if I play this string here, in fact, I'll even check it on my oscilloscope here. Okay. So this string is vibrating in such a way that it's bouncing from the end of the string to the end of the string, but it's also waving in such a way that right here in the middle point, it's rotating as well. You're hearing that note. Not only that, you see what I'm doing? I'm cutting it in half. Remember, 110, 220, 440. So I'm cutting this one in half. I'm going to cut that one in half again. All of those notes and more, all those overtones are playing in your ear all at one time. And your ear, because of the speaker that you have, probably isn't hearing the true note being played here. Maybe it's picking it up. This is around 220 because this is an A. But all of the overtones are being picked up by your cochlea, and your brain is piecing that together and saying, that's the sound that I'm hearing. And I can show that because I have, this is a noisy one. Sorry. Okay, got a bass guitar. Okay. That's an A, but now let's do the math for a second. So if the previous one was hitting at 220, what do you think this A is on a bass guitar? Okay, maybe cut it in half, maybe it's 110. So you are actually, see if I can get this here. You're actually not hearing the lowest note. And if you look at that sine curve, even it's not perfect because you're hearing other overtones on top of it. You're hearing this note. That's 110. Your brain is piecing it in. Okay, so I haven't proved it to you yet, but hopefully this is interesting. What can you do at home? Man, so you can use the oscilloscope to kind of find the different sounds and where things are at and where voices are at. You can hold the oscilloscope up to a phone call or the next time you're on a Zoom call and recognize it's actually not picking up the true frequency, but your brain is filling it in because of the overtones. You're hearing that. You're not hearing that. Your brain's filling that in. So cool. Okay, let me see if I can prove it. So here's a test that you can do at home. I'm going to play, I have a synthesizer over here. I'm turning the camera to the pinch. I've got a synth over here that allows me to play a pure sine wave. So here you go. Oh, okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play notes that go down and figure out for you when you can't hear them anymore. My fingers are right here in shot, so you can see me continuing to play. Actually, I'll even put it down just a little bit there. Okay, you'll see me continue to play. Let's see when your speaker cuts out and you can't hear anymore, because this is a pure sine wave with no overtones. All that 440, all that 880 has been taken out. So now I'm just playing a straight note. So your brain's not allowed to say, oh, I can figure out what that is by the overtones, because now there are no overtones. And when your speaker can't pick it up anymore, you won't pick it up anymore. Checking my oscilloscope. Okay, you would only hear this note. See, I promise I'm hitting it. You would only hear this note if you had some sweet headphones on that really went down to, this is hitting around 60 some odd hertz, right at the threshold of human hearing. Again, why? Because when I play a note on the bass guitar, that note has all of these at the same time. That's insane. All of those notes are playing at the same time because the way the string vibrates. I showed you. The whole string, half the string, a fourth of the string, and it's additive, right? So it keeps going up. So there's more in there. I won't overcomplicate it for the video, but then when I played the pure sine wave and I played just 880, just 440, just 220, just 110, when your speakers weren't able to pick up 110 anymore, it went silent and your brain couldn't figure out, it couldn't guess what the sound was supposed to be. Okay, so what else can you do at home? Like I said, so 2 things so far, the oscilloscope, and the second one, you could test different sound systems. Hey, Dad, can I borrow your sweet headphones, right? Can I borrow your earpods or earpods? Close enough. Can I borrow your AirPods real fast? And begin to check. Go back to that part of the video where I played these notes. and see how far you can hear. And that's going to tell you the quality, the low end range of the speaker system and sound system that you're playing it through. So super cool. Now, again, if I played it using a piano, this is built with overtones in it. So you're going to be able to hear all of these notes because the musical engineers that put the synthesizer together said that piano needs to have a natural overtone built into it. So that's playing all those overtones. Okay. One more thing that you could do, and I think this is pretty cool. So it's going to get noisy. So if you need to turn your headset down, is understanding this. You've got your phone and you got your free oscillating app. Okay. It's telling you the frequencies. How cool is that? There we go. Actually, let me get my face back up on here. Thanks for your patience, guys. All right. So you've got your oscilloscope, which is telling you the frequency and it's telling you the hertz. You can actually take various objects and find what their frequency is. Now, obviously, do this carefully. But for example, oops, sorry. Every object, including people, have a resonant frequency. And if you go Googling this kind of stuff, you're going to see bridges. This is the big famous disaster of the bridge that it found its resonant frequency and it began to vibrate at that frequency until it collapsed. It began to oscillate until it collapsed. Okay. So what can you do? So you can walk around with your free app and you can tap things. Obviously, a little bit of like, metal on metal or lightly hitting the glass. And now this one, I'm not going to recommend at home, but I will say this is pretty cool. So this is true. If sound is actually pushing, right? So my speaker back here is pushing the air molecule, which hits an air molecule, which hits an air molecule, which then hits this glass. If I can figure out what this frequency is, and if I can play that frequency, then the glass will begin to shake. So now you can do this without an instrument too. So this is, again, hopefully I've given you now 4 things to go do. Play with an oscillating app, have some fun, and now you can check out the different resonant frequencies. And then you can also try to find the resonant frequency. So let me just try it. So this one is 1064 hertz. That's what the resonant frequency of this glass is. The way that it was made, this is a wine glass from the dollar store. So the way that it was made, the way it was put together, all the factors that came together, this resonates at 1064 hertz. And so I can come over here and I can play 1064 hertz. That'll be around a C. Let's see. You know what? I'm going to do a pure sine wave. So let me go. I told you it was going to be loud. Sorry. I'm going to check to make sure that I'm on. That is a C5, I believe, on the piano. Okay, so D is about 1,100, and C is about 1,050. So what I'm going to do is I've got a pitch bend. I can bend the pitch just a little bit to make it match the glass. You know what? I might want some ear protection. Getting loud. This will be the last test, I promise. Yes, I did it. Okay, so by blasting out a pure sine wave note of 1064, whenever I pitch bend it, it hit the resonant frequency of this glass and it made it sing. There's tons more things that you could do with resonant frequency, including like hanging strings is an interesting project that you can do. But okay, let me see if I can recap and leave you guys with some cool stuff to take away. So once again, this is Justin with NuMinds TV. The kids usually join me for this segment. They were so busy with the cardboard challenge yesterday that I gave them the day off. I said, let me take care of this. This comes from a course. It's called Guitar Math Monster. And it talks about what if you could build a monster that had the power of light and sound frequencies, what would happen with it? So obviously I've just kind of barely dabbled on some of the science here, but I really want to make sure you guys have some cool takeaways. So at the very least, I showed that you can go to the website that I posted there. And so that's an oscilloscope that you can talk into from your computer. So if you're able to watch this, you're able to download that. Actually, not even download, it's right inside your Chrome browser. This is a free app called Oscilloscope. And then it also tells you not only can you see the pitch, but it also tell you the hertz. So that's super cool. So yeah, one fun thing is you can go around and play with this guy and you're like, okay, that's kind of neat. That's kind of neat. What else can I do with it? Well, the other part is you can test the frequency of the different speakers that you're listening through. So again, if you don't have any instruments in your home, you can go back to the video where I play the different notes on the keyboard and figure out where you were not able to hear anymore. I'd love to see your comments. I'd love for you to come back in and be like, oh yeah, it didn't work very well on my computer or on my iPad, but it worked great on my dad's headphones or these headphones that I got for Christmas. So tell us that kind of stuff. And then I think, if anything, if you're sitting around the dinner table and you want to talk about the way that the cochlear nerve works, how cool is it that our ear hears all these frequencies at the same time called overtones? And that's why you weren't able to hear them when I began to take out the overtones, is because your ear wasn't able to infer and put in what the actual sound is. And then a third thing you can do is cruise around and find the resonant frequency of different things by lightly tapping them, right? And holding your oscilloscope up to it and try to figure it out. Oh, no way. 1064. That's so cool. Do you find, and then if you find something that, I don't think I can, if you could sing into something, you may even be able to have you may be able to make it shake yourself. I use the speaker for it, but you've probably seen the famous examples of the opera singer who sings, and then the glass breaks. That's why, because their voice is hitting the exact frequency of the actual object itself, making it vibrate. And then the reason you see glass so frequently is because, if you had a metal structure, it would vibrate, but it wouldn't break. Glass, when it begins to shake unto itself, then it's going to shatter and explode. Okay. Man, guys, at the very least, I hope it gives you something to think about and something to listen for and to be aware of as you consider the sounds and sights around us. These are things that are just so cool and so fascinating. I barely understand and scratch the surface of it, and I'm just blessed to have so many good mentors and people that I've studied with that know a lot about it. And I just want to share it with you because I think it's interesting and it's real. To me, it's inspiring, and it's a passion that I pursue. And I have a little bit of fun with it, you can tell, and sharing. I hope you guys get a chance to play around with it as well. Let me check some comments before I log off. Sherlock Holmes grappled with the multiple effects on sound and sight many times, but never explained it very well. Well, Mr. T, I hope this gives you a little bit of insight, especially about the cochlear nerve. That to me is just so cool. The fact that our brain is picking up, even when a whole thing is missing, our brain can pick up all these overtones and then infers, oh, that's a man's voice. Again, I'll say that clearly. When you hear a guy's voice on the phone, you are not hearing that lowest frequency. Your brain is filling that in based on previous context clues. Amazing. Amazing. Okay, I'm done. I think I have sung. I've played piano. I hit the bass. I played the strings. Hey, have a wonderful day, and tune in for 5 o'clock where Ben comes back and ends the day. All right. Bye.